Good morning guys, and welcome back to Footsteps and Tire Tracks. And today we're going to show you the Wolfbox DVR Mirror.
We're Marc and V, and this is our adventures.
We've just installed it on our VW T5 Sandhurst, and what an amazing piece of kit. Now, it's come with a lot of trials and tribulations to get it in, but it's finally working. We started this install, believe it or not, when we got the crafter. It was originally going to be on the crafter, but now it's installed on the T5. There's lots of extra bits and pieces, and we're going to try and include it all in this video so you can see how to fit it, make it look very factory, and do it quite comfortably and easily.
Well, hello guys, and the next job on the crafter, although this is going to take part over the next series of days, it's going to be a rear view mirror connected to a camera. So it's going to be one of these DVR type mirrors, and it's going to connect to a rear view camera, and we're going to mount it with a little adapter plate. So it's all a few bits and pieces that have got to go together. What I'm going to show you today initially is all the parts I've bought so far and what I'm hoping to do with it. Okay, let's have a look at the bits and pieces I've bought. First of all, I've bought this rear view DVR camera. It's a Wolfbox T10. I've bought an adapter plate, you can see here. You'll see later why I've bought this adapter plate. And screws there. I've also bought this rear view camera. First of all, we're going to have a look inside the Wolfbox and see what we've got in there. Here's the manual. See, it's a T10. Here is the actual mirror. So I'm going to show you the camera a little bit better there. It's got these clips, and it uses rubber bands to grip hold of the mirror. We're going to remove these, and then this plate, that plate will screw in instead, and then we'll attach this adapter, and then that will mount in the windscreen. So hopefully it's going to look far tidier than having it strapped on. So the first thing we're going to do is remove these screws. Okay, so these are built up into two pieces, and just going to work out how they come out. So they just literally slide upwards. So you rotate them upwards and just slide at the back. Just do that on the others. There we are. And you can actually see the rubber feet I'd removed just prior. I'd left them there because I wasn't sure if I was going to need them. And this fits in there, hopefully. Although that one looks a bit too big. Okay, so here we are. There's another part of the jigsaw puzzle coming together. This is back cover I've ordered from the website AliExpress. It replaces the clamps that I had on here I showed you earlier. Do that. This is a couple of weeks later, bear in mind. And that goes onto that. So it's going to give us a much neater finish on the back. So that will screw in, and then we will attach a connector there. And as you can see there, that's how it fits. And there's a little gap there. There is a little gap. But I think, that's how you're going to look at it. Let's pull it back so you can see it. So you can see it. And it's going to be through the windscreen. And it's going to be neat and tidy. There's going to be no clamping to anything else. And yeah, I'm really pleased with that. Right, so let's carry on with the wiring here now. So what we're going to do next is we're going to start feeding this wiring. So it's got to go along under the dash up a pillar, then across, and be available up there for when we start doing that. The cable has come from the other side. You can see it here. Now, I've actually pulled it too far, so I'm going to have to pull that back slightly. But we've come up over the steering column, and we're going to go up there, as you can see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to carry on up through there. You can see I've taken the trim off. There's the trim, that just pops off. And I've noticed one of the clips is missing, and it's obviously been off before and it's not there. So I think I've got some in the garage. I always keep bits and pieces. And you can see everything is been removed, but it's not going on properly. And you've got to make sure these things actually sit properly when you put it all back. So we'll make sure that's all done properly. Anyway, the cable will come up. We'll take them up through that channel. You can see where all the cables are coming up, and then we'll take them across, and it'll end up over there. I think while we got it all open like this, we'll also feed for the new camera as well. We'll get the new camera cable all into that position as well, even if we got to just sit it somewhere while we're waiting to do the rest. The cables now have been all neatly cable tied. Well, cable tied. I've used some cable tape, and we've followed the route up, and it's gone up over the steering column and feeds down through here. Now I've taken the two earths to this point here. That's the bar that runs behind the dash. That's mounted to the chassis, so that's going to be a good earth. I've used that position before on a Mark IV Golf, so I know that's going to be a good earth. So that's where that point is. Obviously we've got all this mess of cabling at the moment that's got to be tidied up. Then the USB for the rear camera then carries on up through in behind here, and as you can see, then follows up here, goes into the in behind the headlining, and then it appears here. Now I've bought a piece that will mount to the original mounting on the windscreen for the mirror, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to directly mount the Wolfbox like a mirror, so it won't have to have all this like clamping on an old mirror idea. I think it'll look far tidier and more factory, and at the end of the day we're all hoping to make it look as good as possible, aren't we? Right, I'm just going to show you this rear view mirror. I've just popped off there, you can see he's actually popped off. You just push and twist 90 degrees anti-clockwise. It's quite tight, and there you are. That's how it removes, and hopefully the new piece I've bought for the new rear view camera will go right in its place. So we'll go and get that and try that next. So this is the Wolfbox rear view mirror. Obviously I've still got to get all the wires live and everything. We've got a few other bits and pieces in the wiring we're going to do yet. But there's the bracket, and it mounts to a faceplate which mounts to the camera. So it saves having to have this sort of clamping idea. Like this one here, you see that you got this like clamping that clamps with your mirror, and I don't know, I don't think it looks very good. And the great thing about this one as well, it's also got that dash cam. Now I'm sure there's going to be newer versions of this now, because I bought this originally for the Crafter, and well, we now find ourselves with the Auto Sleeper. However, we do have the Crafter still. Yeah, let's see if it goes up and looks nice. There we are, and that's the mirror in place. Obviously the cable is going to be just tidied up a little tiny bit, make it look a little bit more neat and tidy. There's one more cable to come in which I've had to place on order, because the video cable that goes to the rear camera just isn't quite long enough. This one here, the old reversing camera, that is being removed, and I think, well, You tell me what you think, what looks better. That one there clamping onto your rear view mirror, or that one there, that's just one. I think that looks a lot better. We'll see how it performs. We'll do a separate video once it's all in on it, being, you know, the way it performs and everything, so we can have a separate video on that. And I'll show some of the installation, and obviously anybody who's interested, I'll put links down below where I got all the bits and pieces too, because it's been quite a trawl around the internet trying to find the pieces that work with it all. So I'll go back through my orders, and it goes back for a few months, unfortunately, because like I said, I bought it for the crafter. We'll also be putting a new rear view camera in as well. That's going to be chased. Luckily, there is cabling in already, and it follows this conduit all the way back through. So I'm really hoping that I can be clever and chase the cable, attach two cables together, and then just pull them back through, so I don't have to start ripping everything open. And that's good. That goes underneath the van, so it goes right back through. So that should be fairly easy. I've ordered 10 meters of cable. Unfortunately, they only do a 10 meters and a 6 meters, so I'm hoping 10 meters is going to be enough. And we'll find out. The next thing is, this is a cable, the video cable that goes back to the rear camera. Now, it's a real unfortunate thing, because you can see that's a 4-pin, but it's a large 4-pin, and the new cable I've got for the camera is, I'll bring that in as close as I dare. Hold that, it's focused. You can see that's a 4-pin as well, but it's a small 4-pin, and obviously the end that goes into the head, the dash camera, is a male connector. So that's 10 meters, believe it or not. I'm really hoping that's going to be enough. And I'm really hoping that I can just attach it and pull it back through, because we've got this going all the way back, and it finishes there. If you look at the back of the van there, you can see the Kuta sign there. Well, that's a panel in behind, and when you take that off, you can get to the camera at the back. Now let's take you through. You can see up there, that's where the camera is, and that's where we're going to come through. And basically, it's going to come down, come back here. It comes down there, goes under there, and then it goes out of the van, just there, and then it goes right along underneath the van, and it comes across, and we've got the wardrobe about here, and it comes up through, and then it cuts across. So it goes up and then cuts across. So I'm hoping we can chase the cable now, and that will, well, I won't be doing it today. I don't think I can do it while I'm in this boot. But we'll get everything. What we're going to do now is we'll get the last cable up there and bring it all around, so everything is sat in this position. Well, one thing I wanted to do before I started feeding cables all the way back through and everything is I wanted to check that the new cable I bought, this cable here, what actually works, because that's 10 meters. The original one was this one, that was 6 meters, and it wasn't going to be long enough. So what I've done is I've plugged in the camera to a power supply just temporarily. Now I'm going to connect the camera up and just make sure that the camera actually works on the new cable before we go and wire it all in and find out something's wrong. So I've plugged the camera in, you can see that, and there's the camera. And if we come up here, you can actually see the camera, and that's working perfectly fine. I'm really happy with that. So that tells me that I don't need to worry about any extra power. The power coming from the unit is going to be fine to power this. Yesterday I didn't bother filming it, but I got under the van, and you can see back there, I've run the new cable back through for the dash cam. Now for some reason the camera works up to the extension piece and then it doesn't work, so I'm hoping it's a duff cable. Sadly though, that means all the cable's got to be taken back out, right back down to where the extension is. It's just under the back, so that's going to be a bit of a annoying pain really, but it may be that power just won't transmit that far down from the head unit, or I said head unit, from the camera unit. So if that's the case, we'll have to think of a way of supplying power as well. Well, we've put everything back together now, and the last thing that is needed to be done is to put the wiring in on the fuses for the USB in the dash and the reversing light. Dash is it that there's a dash cam reversing light. So what I've done is I've had a look through all the fuses. There's all the fuses, and I've gone through the fuses, and these are the options I think we have. We've got SB12, which is a cigarette lighter, SC4, which is a 12-volt socket, SC14, which was for a mobile telephone, SC25, which was the heated driver's seat, SC26, which is a tachograph, SC31 for the sunroof, SC32 for headlight washer, SC33 for tachograph, and SC36 for a 12-volt socket. Now all of them look feasible. Now the next thing to do is find out whether they've been wired in and whether they're hot constant power or if they're switchable power. So that's the next thing I'm going to do. So I'm just going to have a look around and see how we get on, and we'll come back. So I've decided on, from the ones I've got plumbed in, we've gone for this one here, SC5, which is refrigerator box. Obviously we've not got a refrigerator box on the van, but the cable, the fuse, sorry, was actually plumbed in. So we've gone for that one. And I've got the two cables coming in there, so that's the USB and the dash cam. The theory is I know what's going to go on. Now this was done previously and I've checked up, and that's going into an accessory port, so I'm happy to leave that as that is. So what we'll do is we'll come around the other side, switch on the ignition, and turn on the ignition. You can see it's off. Turn the ignition on, and then you can see the Wolfbox lights up. That is pretty much everything done now, apart from we have a small issue with the rear camera. I've added an extension in, and the extension doesn't seem to be working properly, so I'm going to have a look underneath the van and just check everything's all connected properly. Now we had an issue, didn't we? If you remember, we couldn't see the rear view. Now you can see I've got the front view and the rear view there now. Just coming a bit closer so you can see that. Hopefully that's not reflecting too badly. Now what it actually was is we had a 10-meter cable and that wasn't long enough, and it turned out that when I added an extra 6-meter cable we didn't get any signal. I noticed we were seeing little flicks of signal but nothing entirely. So I measured out how much I could get away with, and it worked out I could add another 2.5 meters to the 10-meter cable, and that would be long enough. And I managed to find a cable that was 2.5 meters, and I'm going to put all the details of the cables and everything down below it in the post. There's going to be quite a few bits and pieces. Hopefully I'll remember to put it all there. And 2.5 meters worked. And what it was is me and a friend worked out that it was voltage drop, and it just the cable could not take the power that far to power the camera. But now you can see that's working. So what do you think then? I think it's a great piece of kit and quite an easy install really, although it was a bit time consuming and there were a few hurdles on the way. Anyway, if this video's helped you out, give us a thumbs up. If you want to see more, consider subscribing to the channel. We'll see you in the next video, guys. Look after yourselves. See you later. Bye.